Hello and welcome to EBAday 2025. We're here in Paris and stepping away from the busy event is Katja Lehr, Europe Product Head, EMEA Payments, Industry and Advocacy Lead at J.P.Morgan. Katja, thank you very much for joining us in the studio.
Thank you for having me.
It's really good to have you on, and we're talking about a very interesting topic that's at the heart of a lot of discussions over the course of EBAday, and that's the G20 Initiative. Tell us a bit more about the initiative and bring us up to date.
Sure, very happy to. So the G20 Initiative is particularly about making cross-border payments cheaper, faster, more transparent, and more inclusive. And G20 actually decided on these objectives already in 2020. In 2022, the FSB, so the Financial Stability Board, then came up with a roadmap. And now we all have to meet these objectives by 2027, so a mere 2 years from now.
So what has been the impact then of those objectives on the wider payments landscape then?
Yeah. So I want to take a step back. So if we talk about these objectives, faster, cheaper, more inclusive, and more transparent, it's going to benefit citizens, businesses, and the worldwide economy. And it will support, in my mind, economic growth. It will support global development, international trade, and I think most importantly, financial inclusion. And so, yes, you ask about the payments industry, the financial services industry. If I were to drill down on just this part of the world, this industry, and I include banks as well as payment service providers, then it will certainly be the ability to now have more clear standards, harmonized rules, regulations, oversight and governance of payment systems. That's going to be making the world and the life of financial institutions or payment service providers so much easier. And if I were to change this, I would just say we're going to sing all from the same hymn sheet. Can you imagine the nice tone this is going to make? But ultimately, it will just make payments easier, and with that I dare say cheaper, and with that much more beneficial and cost effective for our clients.
Those are some really important developments. And within the task force working busy behind the scenes, what really stands out for you?
That's an easy one. It's the people, the passion, the dedication of these people in a task force, which all sit around the globe, which really came together at odd times of the day. And we need to remember they do this as a side job. So when they have done all the job they actually paid for, then they come together and they are engaging in very open, honest, and I have to say sometimes very tough discussions. If you see that passion, then you really know these people honestly want to meet these objectives of the G20. And I do want to say the other achievement of this task force, or these task forces, we still all talk to each other, which is not necessarily the case when you have very tough discussions. And I also want to say that for the last roughly 2 years, we have worked on these topics, we have produced reports, and our results are not necessarily easy to implement. Nobody said it would be easy, but we all believe it's achievable. And once we really wrap our head around it and get it done, again, I think G20 gets what they are actually asking for.
All right, that's interesting. So are there any obstacles then to move forward? And if there are, how do we overcome those obstacles?
That's a good question. And if you allow me, I'm going to take an example of the task force number 2, which I had the pleasure to co-chair. So task force number 2 was tasked to figure how can you reach interlinking of faster payment systems. And when we talk about interlinking, we are not talking about the technology. We are basically talking about everything but technology. Now, we started doing an analysis of the global payment or faster payment systems, roughly 60. And the interesting thing we figured out was that more than half of them actually do not support cross-border payments. So we are down to the basics. our infrastructure needs to be upgraded to actually support cross-border payments. Now, when we then took the next step and said, okay, other than the infrastructure, what else do we have to do? And what else are the obstacles? And I do admit, it's a long list. I'm not going to talk about all of them, but just to mention a few. For example, what we are struggling with is AML and sanction screening rules, because they are different in every jurisdiction. Now, when things are different, it actually makes things much more difficult. We are not having the same oversight and governance rules about our faster payment systems. We do have different limits in the faster payment system. And one of my pet peeves, I have to admit, is the fact that the moment you move into faster and cross-border, you attract fraudsters. Now, in order to prevent, obviously we would like to prevent fraud, but in order to combat fraud, you have to actually exchange data, you have to inform each other. And we all have privacy rules which basically won't allow us to do exactly that. So these are just a few of the obstacles we have to figure. But when you listen to me, these obstacles all have one common denominator. And that is, in order to solve for them, we will need the public support. We can't solve this as an industry by ourselves. We need public support to harmonize rules and regulations. And yes, we all appreciate that most probably getting to rules and regulations across the board is not easy. But that will need to happen in order to make really these objectives of faster, inclusive, transparent and cheap cross-border payments a reality.
Well, as you highlighted really well there, often with the opportunity come the challenges, and there is still some way to go with fraud, but it's a really interesting and exciting space. I look forward to catching up with you further down the line and reflecting on those insights. But Katja, I'll let you get back out there and enjoy EBAday, but thank you very much.
Thank you so much.